This subject is, you're basically talking about my life. Obviously, John's not my real name, and I've been told by your colleague on the phone that I can't give too many details. But I was in the care system from the age of 4 to 18. I was sexually, physically abused by my dad. I then was taken into care where I suffered horrific sexual and physical abuse. I was in at least 14 or 15 different children's homes. The case is ongoing, so I can't mention anything about names or anything like that. But what I really want to talk about is the effect it has on us that have gone through it. Now I'm above 35 years of age. I won't even give my real age because I'm scared that people that will hear this, it's dangerous for me. I was diagnosed with something called complex PTSD. Since leaving care at the age of 17, 18, I got a job. I worked my whole life because I always felt that what the taxpayer paid, I owed them back. I believe it or not, I felt grateful for the little bit of care I did get. But a couple of years back, things came on the news and I started to get flashbacks from the job I was in. Like I said, that culminated in me getting complex PTSD in 2017, then trying to commit suicide in 2018, losing my job at the end of that year. I've not worked since then. I have no life. I can't give details, but I've got a family. But if it wasn't for the family, I wouldn't be here now.
And do they know everything?
Oh, they know everything. My wife and son were in the house last year when a load of police officers turned up because I'd stolen a vehicle from work. I won't go into the details. It was a big vehicle. I was intending to kill myself. Because I'd been told by legal people involved with me that things were going well within the case, and I thought that they would be okay, so I could end it. But what to tell you from my own thing, the corruption goes all the way through. I came over to this country age 4, and once you're in the care system, if you've got people that come and check on you, family members or aunties or uncles, you're probably safer. But if you're in the situation I was in, where you don't have any family because they're all in another country, you get left and just stuff starts to happen, and you really quickly realise that you're on your own. And it's survival. And the fact that I'm here talking to you now is amazing.
What brought you back from the brink?
I was in a truck, and I was just about to. I can't give the locations because that will link me too much to anyone listening. But I flipped my keys open. I had a photo of my son on my keyring. And that just flicked me round. But then the police surrounded the vehicle. They sectioned me, and I came out of that section. And since then, I've basically lived my life in a room in my house. I don't have any friends. I know now by what happens with complex PTSD is when you suffer a trauma as a child, and then it's compounded by a further trauma and then a further trauma, and that's basically what happened to me. And then it doesn't come out till later in life. And I think if it hadn't been for hearing a radio, it was on. I think it might have even been on LBC or something like that years ago, when this advert went out for were you in these places at these times? And when I started to hear these names of these homes that they were talking about, I've literally pulled the brake up on my lorry. My lorry skidded in the road, and people were just screaming at me because I could have killed anyone. But I just all I was trying to listen in on was the names of this place. Then I get in contact with these people from the number that they gave. That then leads on to my notes being given to me from a council, which I can tell you now it took over a year to get them. And they gave me like 6 files, big boxes of files that were supposedly all they had. And then miraculously, like a year later, they come out with another load of boxes of files. And I don't even want to name how many boxes, because anyone listening that is involved in this would be able to narrow it down to who I am. Because I can tell you that the amount of boxes that I had and my family had, because it's not just me, was the most amount of documentation that they found on one group within this case. And I've got I can't even say that. I've got to be very careful what I say in case you get really scared when you've lived the life I have.
Yeah, look, I completely get that. I think that, and that's whenever I do phone-ins like this on this sort of subject, and I know, I mean, for example, when I've done phone-ins on things like rape before, you're very conscious that there are people listening who've gone through these things, and whenever, and they just might be happening to listen to the radio, and it brings it all back to them. And clearly, I mean, the fact that you've rung and that we're talking about it, it will have done the same to you here. It's brought back some very unhappy memories. But
do you know how it's just a pure... I used to listen to you all the time in my lorry. Not just you, all the guys in LBC, because you guys are like the person in the truck to get us through at night. But I'm literally I've just driven down because my son's got a rash, so we've had to go to A&E. And I sit out. I mean, this is the situation now. I can't even go into an A&E with loads of people because I can't deal with being around people. So I'm sitting in my car. I've turned on LBC just while my wife and son are in there, and I hear what you're talking about. And obviously, you're talking about my life. And the thing is that I want to say is that the sound bites that the powers that be put out onto media, be it Sky or LBC or whoever, they say one thing, but then behind the scenes they do everything to stop the stuff ever getting to the news. And they absolutely do, because I've seen behind the scenes through the group that I'm in, and I know threats that have been given to people, and but if the group never got to how big they became as big as they are, and they became as public as they are, because it's when you get out into the public that you're safe. If you don't get into the public eye, and they can stop you before you get to that point, then you're not safe. And remember, the stuff that happened to me happened back in the 80s, and people that were involved in it were in all aspects of the system, social services, police force, all of them. And you've got to remember that those people are now, they've ranked up since then. They're no longer the PCs or the lower social service. They're higher up. They're much higher up. And that's the danger for people like us.
Well,
because...
Look, John, I'm well overdue going to a break, so I do need to wrap up in a minute. No, don't apologise at all, because I think you've been an incredible caller. I think everybody that's listening would have thought, well, he's got this, what did you call it, complex PTSD?
Yes, CPTSD.
But you're incredibly eloquent talking about it, and I wish you really well on. I mean, is it something? I mean, I was going to say wish you well in your recovery. I'm not even sure recovery is the appropriate word here, but I hope
you just learn to live with it.
I hope. Well, I hope your life gets better. Let's leave it like that, shall we?